Hey, Tony, you know who's really happy this week?
Who?
This guy right here. But you know who's really sad this week?
Who?
The Raiders and the Broncos and their entire fan bases. Welcome in to the newest episode of Nuts and Bolts. I know it's not Friday night, but we're here because this week we have a Thursday night football matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm here with Tony Tucker. Will is our guest on the show for today. How are you guys doing? Tony, you got to be excited. You got to be excited.
I am so great. After several cups of tea and some, to get the voice back, I was able to reach out to all the Raider fans in my life and let them know FTR. Stitch it on a pillow and sleep well, my friends. You're 0-1 going up against the Cardinals in week 2. Will, how you doing, brother? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing good. Glad to be here. I mean, I'm ready to get after these Chiefs. This is going to be a good football game.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I think we should just get right into it. Tony, if you got it, if you're ready, because there's a bunch of things to say. But what was your favorite part of that Raiders game?
Oh, man. I think I'm going to steal the easy one from everybody here, but it had to be watching the Raiders fans' faces when Khalil Mack got his first sack. And then they're like, oh, man, okay, well, he got lucky. Khalil Mack got lucky. Oh, he did it again. Are they going to block him today? No, guys. Have you seen the game? Nobody's being blocked. By the time that he got to number 3, and that was good night, drive home safely minute, I'm pretty sure it was their faces watching that they got wrecked trading away Khalil Mack for nothing. And they're still bad since they traded him, and now things got worse. So that was probably my favorite moment, was the faces of the Raiders fans after that.
What was your favorite part, Will?
Since he said Khalil Mack, I'm not going to say what my actual favorite part is because it was also Khalil Mack, but I'm going to go with something else. I think my favorite part of this game was seeing that Asante Samuel Jr. is actually able to somewhat hold his own with Devontae Adams. That was great.
I agree with that point.
Yeah,
I actually love that point. I easily could have went there. I could have went with the fact that Drew Tranquil made it through a whole game. I don't want to steal anymore. Mike, your turn.
Yeah, that was my first, second, and third right there. So I'm going to go with my fourth, and I'm going to go with the offensive line of the Chargers, especially in pass pro. Justin Herbert has plenty of time back there, and when Justin Herbert has plenty of time, he's lethal. And we saw that in the first half. They slowed down a little bit in the second half, but we were going to talk about that, a little bit of play calling, a little bit of the first game. We had the big lead, and they're just trying to get out of there. But, yeah, I was excited to see that first half. Justin Herbert was unleashed. He had plenty of time, clean pocket, took like 2 hits the entire game, which is what we want. One of them was his fault. He didn't go out of bounds on the sideline. Athir, go ahead. Fire it away. Whatever you got to say, man. We're going to read it here on the live. But, yeah, I did want to talk about that, touch on that. Any concerns, Tony Tucker? We watched them all last year. I mean, they're going to get it fixed. But any concerns with the conservative play calling? I keep telling Raiders fans, like, you guys got all these defensive stats and only won by 5. And it's like, this is the NFL. That happens for one once in a while. But for 2, we obviously took our foot off the gas pedal. Like, we had control of the game the entire game. And if Herbert had to come out and put his foot back on the gas pedal, I had full confidence that he was going to do it.
Yeah, I think that I was concerned. I was unhappy that was the direction that Lombardi decided to go. I was really hoping for a blowout. I predicted somewhat of a blowout. I will just say this. The one thing is that he admitted he had a problem. That's what we want. We want him to go into the meeting and be like, hi, my name is Mike, and I'm a conservative play caller, right? Like, go to conservative play calling, anonymous, and get it right, because I cannot handle it when that happens. You have Justin Herbert, bro. Do not hand the ball off twice and run it up the gut and get stuff like that. But I talked to Will about this, and I know Will was not pleased with Lombardi.
No, I was not pleased with Lombardi. Although I think this was kind of a similar story last year. You saw right out the gate, a lot of Chargers fans were like, God, this Lombardi guy sucks. He goes to conservative. He needs to take shots down the field. And as the season went on, it kind of just got less and less conservative. And we went on, it was like, okay, he's getting better at play calling. I think he just kind of went back to the beginning of last year where he's like, I'm going to be super conservative. I'm going to play not to lose. And I think he's like, okay, we cannot do that again. I think he knows that. I think he knows we need to just have that killer instinct. So I think he's going to fix it. And if he doesn't fix it against the Chiefs, I think we're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that killer instinct, it comes down to just having a quarterback that maybe you wouldn't do this with most quarterbacks in the league. When you're up 2 touchdowns late in the game, continue throwing the football. But we do have Justin Herbert. I would like to give him second and third down in the third and fourth quarter. If we're, killing 2 minutes with 2 touchdowns, that's different than killing 2 quarters. So we just got to keep that in mind. But with every negative, sometimes it becomes a net positive because we got to see our defense close the game out, which is something that we have not had since when? I don't know. Can't even
2006? I don't know.
Yeah, the defense absolutely shut that game down, even after an entire game of chasing down all those weapons and getting after the quarterback on almost every single play. So that was the net positive out of it. It's like, oh, now we have some more faith in our defense in that moment if it comes up tomorrow, for example.
Yeah, there was something too a little bit to me where it was like, hey, we don't want to put Mike at risk of injury when we have this lead. We already know we're probably going to be without Keenan. He leaves. Or at least there's a possibility we might not have him. Also, why display how you're going to use Josh Palmer in the next game? Like, that's the thing to me is like, if you're like, oh, we're going to move him into the Keenan role, now they're going to have tape on what it looks like when he's there. Instead, now, if we get through this game without it, everything is going to be fresh for how they're going to. I mean, they'll be able to go back to the Giants game or, when he had his big games last year. But when they fully move him into that Z role there's not going to be any tape for the Chiefs to study. It's all going to be fresh. It's going to be a beautiful thing.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see Josh Palmer this week. Athir's saying, listen to me. Chargers fans going to hate me for this. What you saw Sunday, get used to this theme, baby. Defense will close out games. Oh, Athir's thinking the same thing I am. And it will happen again tomorrow. He needs his defense on the field at the end. I mean, it usually comes down to an offense versus a defense at the end of the game, Athir, in the NFL. So you're 100% right. Instant replay in the house. Shout out to you. Anything else in the Raiders game? I feel like I haven't done enough for this Raiders game, even though I had a post go for like 500,000 views. But I feel like I still haven't done enough to roast the Raiders. It's just like, I expected this type feeling.
Well, I just want to say this lastly. Where are they? Because last week they were in here on our show talking about this game, talking about this victory they were going to get. And now they've all seemed to lost the link to nuts and bolts so they could get in here and take these lumps. But it was, to me, this game wasn't even the best that I think that they could have played, obviously, because it was only week 1. So like tons of room for growth in pretty much all aspects. Will, you want to close this out with the Raiders stuff?
I mean, yeah, tons of room for growth. The offense can definitely get better. I mean, Max said he thought he played a terrible game, so that goes all you need to know about that. You see, I mean, I don't think he played a terrible game, but apparently Khalil Mack thinks he played a terrible game with 3 sacks and how many pressures. And
I just keep thinking of that meme where it's like, oh, Patrick Mahomes evading Joey Bosa, and he turns around and there's like a grizzly bear standing there waiting for him. And
I mean, the best thing about this Raiders game is that they can't use the timeout pick, and we got Derek Carr crying on the sideline now to use against them. So,
yeah, they used that Week 18 pick all offseason, and I'm gonna stash that one for a rainy day. There's a picture of Derek Carr actually crying on the sideline during the game.
Someone put it in one of those song generators and had him singing the Hello Darkness. That was pretty funny.
We are gonna get into our keys here, Athir, and we're gonna talk about all this stuff. We're gonna break all this down in this episode. We've gotten the Raider game out the way. Let's wash all of that out. Wash the Week 18 out. That's all out of our focus because we are on to KC. And starting with the injury report here, we'll go over it. We're gonna be missing some guys. We're gonna be down Keenan Allen and Donald Parham. They're both already ruled out for this game, both dealing with hamstring injuries. Keenan Allen's, fortunately, we can look on the bright side. They're saying is not a major hamstring injury. He's expected to be looking at possibly coming back in week 3 or week 4. Usually hamstring injuries can sideline receivers for 6 weeks, sometimes even more than that if it really nags throughout the season. So it's good to hear that it's not as serious as it appeared on the field. As soon as I saw him walking to the sideline, I knew something was wrong. And I was just, praying that it wasn't something serious. And then, of course, Donald Parham's been dealing with that injury all training camp pretty much. And he's still not back. He's not going to play this week. J.C. Jackson returned to the practice field on Tuesday, which was yesterday, And then he practiced again today in limited fashion. Coach Staley said yesterday in his press conference that JC is taking steps towards playing Thursday, but is still listed as questionable. I think they really need to ramp him up first before they can say that he's a for sure go, but things are looking good for JC. On the Chiefs side of things, Harrison Butker, Trent McDuffie, and Trey Smith all suffered ankle injuries in Arizona. Andy Reid's actually pissed. He was upset at a microphone saying that the turf in Arizona was all jacked up, and he is accounting all these ankle injuries, because the Cardinals had a few ankle injuries in that game as well, to the turf, which sucks for the Chiefs because obviously we want to play them at full strength. We don't want to see people get injured, but they're dealing with 3 guys, ankle injuries. Trey Smith was a full practice today, so he's probably going to play, but he's listed as questionable. Both McDuffie and Butker are out. McDuffie's actually hit the IR. That's how bad his injury is. Tony, Will, we can start with you, Tony. Biggest impact here as far as the injuries, I think it's got to be Keenan Allen, but the Chiefs missing their kicker is going to be a big deal in this game.
Yeah, I think it is Keenan. We're all really excited to see JC get on the field and play. JC would feel like a bigger miss if Tyreek was still on this team. But now I'm not really sure. If your number one target is Juju, you have guys that are going to be able to handle him a lot better than you could handle Tyreek Hill. So I think it is probably Keenan. Feeling good on those big third downs when you have Keenan out there, it definitely makes you feel like, okay, this is going to be converted one way or the other. I mean, all we need to know is that we can go to Keenan. On the Chiefs side of that injury report, down McDuffie with already a secondary that we're like, we talked about it, Mike. I'm like, is this a secondary that is like worthy of winning the AFC West? Like, one of these other teams, mainly the Chargers, need to step up and steal that crown away this year. So that's a little concerning for them, I would think.
Yeah, they seem like they're thin at DB. Will, what's your thoughts on these injuries?
I mean, yeah, obviously Keenan is huge. Parham is still pretty big, but like I think as Chargers fans, we know how big Keenan is. We know how big Parham is. I think people are going to underestimate how much Butker could actually mean to this game. I mean, if you got them setting up like that easily knocks off, 10, 15, 20 yards off their field goal range. If they're set up shop and it's like a 50-yard field goal and it's 4th and 3, they're probably not going to kick that. They're probably going to go for that. So if we could get a stop there with good field position, if we could do that maybe once or twice, like it could put the Chiefs in some real conundrums. Like, do we punt on 4th and short, or do we go for it and risk giving them the ball here? Because we cannot make the field goal from here without our kicker.
Yeah. It's gonna help with confidence on our side of the ball too. I think giving the ball to D-Hop, I know he missed the kick, but knowing that they kind of are a little bit handicapped at the kicker position, you put up 2 or 3 field goals in the game versus being risky like we usually are, it may actually be the difference in the game. And like you said, the range is the biggest thing. If we're up, 31-28 in this game, Patrick Mahomes gets the ball, he's got to travel another 20 yards now for the Chiefs to really feel confident at tying that game up and getting it into overtime, which is a big deal because you know how this Chargers defense is. That's 2 or 3 extra plays they got to run, 2 or 3 extra chances for us to make a play on the football. So, yeah, it could be a much larger impact than we think. Obviously, the Keenan Allen injury is the biggest impact. He's the best wide receiver out of both of these teams. But, yeah, so we'll see how it unfolds. Of course, the Chargers super deep at wide receiver. They made an emphasis on that, bringing in DeAndre Carter. They have Josh Palmer already on the roster. Of course, Mike Williams is going to be out there. So I think that this game, or these injuries for this game, kind of wash out. And we're back to square one a little bit.
Yeah. Will, you're getting the award for word of the show, the Kansas City Conundrums. As soon as they have to make that decision, I'm going to be shouting that at my TV screen tomorrow. I love that.
I'm glad I came on that one. But I also think we overlooked a little bit Trey Smith. He probably starts the game, but does the injury, does it like linger at all? Would he come out? Because that'd be a pretty big blow to their O-line if Trey Smith has to come out.
Yeah, I like it, and I really do think the Butker one is gonna we could be looking at that going, wow, they would have taken those points right there in a few different spots, and it could be a difference. And hopefully in this one it'll be, well, we're gonna get into it, but hopefully Staley will kick some field goals on our side this time. That second
I know, right?
Last year should have been way different outcome.
Yeah, we should have took a few of those. We would have won that game. pretty comfortably too, because some of those turns didn't just turn into 3-point losses. It turned into 7 and 10-point losses when the Chiefs went back the other direction. But I have a question for Tony. What kind of defense is Coach Staley going to put out there tomorrow? This is good to talk about because J.C. Jackson is obviously questionable. Tony, Athir wants your answers. With J.C. Jackson out there, I think I know what you're going to say. But what do you want to see a lot of out of Staley as far as scheme-wise?
So when I rewatch the Chiefs Cardinals games, I think they can actually get pressure on him with 3 or 4 people. I would actually like to see some confusing looks where it looks like they're bringing pressure and they're dropping a few people into coverage. Because the one thing I noticed, my biggest takeaway from the Chiefs game, I have never seen Patrick Mahomes play so much intermediate football. He was getting 0 pass rush from the Cardinals because they have none, but we could get pass rush with just a few players against what I think is an average offensive line for KC. And if he can drop back and muddy up some of those short passing lanes, they were just hitting little like over routes, little slants, little outs to MVS, Juju. Like he was pushing nothing down the field. His deepest throws were going to Travis Kelce, who I think is going to get a huge dose of Tranquil and Derwin. I don't even know why I blanked on that, but I think that is what I would like to see from him. And I think that they will notice the same thing is like, yeah, you probably need to cover over the top of MVS or McColl once in a while. They might try and take a shot, but figure out a way to bother him and disguise looks and take away that intermediate pass, which he used in the 2 preseason drives. He had 3 preseason drives. It was all intermediate stuff there. And then again, same thing in the week 1. Intermediate stuff. So I hope that answers your question, Athir.
Yeah, I think you did a good job answering it, Tony, and basically the defensive plans for the Chargers here. Obviously, Staley's going to throw the kitchen sink at him. And we saw the kitchen sink coming at the Raiders offense. We saw a bunch of different coverages. We saw a bunch of different pass rushing stunts. We saw a bunch of stuff. Will, anything to add to the defensive side of the ball? I mean, the pass rush is going to be key in this, obviously.
Yeah, I was just trying to fix my lighting there for a second. I think you're going to want to do the opposite of what Arizona did. You are definitely not going to want to blitz him 54% of the time because Mahomes does his best work when being blitzed. Because if you drop people out of coverage to blitz, he's just going to extend the play and find someone open. So you definitely just want to get pressure with your front 4, maybe in front 3. I agree with definitely maybe showing some disguised blitzes, maybe looking like you're going to blitz some people, drop them back into coverage, and just be like, you're not going to get underneath the field. I'm not going to get too much into it because I think it does go a little bit with my 3 keys to victory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
It kind of goes with mine too, and it's something that our coach did with us when I played in Japan a little bit. But sometimes you just look across the other sideline as a defensive backcourt and you just go, we're better than all these guys. There's no reason to overthink it. And I'm cool with Staley if we have J.C. Jackson and Derwin James to get those DBs together and go. Just lock them up. Just go up. We're going to play man-to-man coverage on everybody. Derwin, you got Kelce. We'll help you out with safety help on certain plays, and other plays will be on your own. But across the board, receiver for DB, we should be able to just lock them up if we have to. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So pretty pumped for that. Let's see here. I think Athir put another question. If the Chiefs decide to take Mike Williams out, who will have a bigger impact, Palmer or Everett? I don't think the Chiefs have an option of taking Mike out. Who are they taking Mike out with?
Not McDuffie. He's not
anybody. Not anybody.
Need? No.
Yeah. There's a whole highlight reel that I had put together about the post of Mike Williams mossing L'Jarius Sneed personally.
Who's the other guy? I don't remember the other guy's name.
Mike ain't getting taken out, Athir, but I would probably go. I think JP5 is going to have a big game. I think the whole offense is going to have a big game, but I think JP5 is going to have a big game.
I'm here for it. I love it.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into our keys. We each have 1 or 2 prepared to give a shout out to. Our keys to victory versus the Kansas City Chiefs this week for our LA Chargers. Tony, you said you want to go last?
Yeah, let me go last on this one.
I'll start us off. I think the biggest key for the Chargers in this game is making someone else other than Travis Kelce be the guy that they move the ball with. If it's CEH, if it's Juju, if it's Mecole Hardman, I want the ball being forced to someone else on every 3rd down except for Travis Kelce. They're going to try and go to Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce has killed us in the past, but that's when we've had the threat of Tyreek Hill out there. A lot of people don't realize in that overtime game where Travis Kelce murdered our defense without Derwin James that we were playing that cover 2 like sky coverage because Tyreek Hill can just run past you if you call anything else pretty much with the defenders we had on the field last year. This year, no Tyreek Hill. We can come up and we can play man coverage. We can, use the safeties the way safeties should be used to shadow Travis Kelce. The biggest key to victory, I think, is slowing down Travis Kelce. If Travis Kelce has 5 catches, 50 yards, and I'm blind to the game, I'm putting a lot of money that we win it.
I love that.
Yeah, my number one key, I think we need to create pressure on Mahomes just with the front four, which goes with what I was saying earlier. If you can get pressure on Mahomes with just the front four and you are not giving him anything, I do think you get him down. The problem is that when people get pressure on Mahomes, they'll blitz him and then he'll just extend the play because that's what he's really good at. He's good at getting out of the pocket, extending the play, and getting that ball downfield. But if you're able to get pressure with just your front four, you're able to cover up, you're able to lock up. That's kind of what we did to Carr. We were able to get pressure with just our front four, lock up all the receiving options. He had nothing to do. He just took the sack. Mahomes is more mobile than Derek Carr, but I do think Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, they're going to have a field day once again. I don't care who the O-line is. They're going to have a field day every day.
I like both of those points. And you guys both kind of went defensively, and I think my first one is defensive too. So maybe we can do a second lap and come up with something offensively, because I think one person that didn't really get enough love through like the social media and everything else was how nice Kenneth Murray looked. How wonderful and great it was to see him being active. And I think if he can kind of play that position where he's almost like spying sometimes on Patrick Mahomes on those downs, and they're like, oh, Patrick's going to scramble and he's going to run, and then you're getting chased down by K9. We see, if you turn on any of the stuff at Oklahoma, he's running down everybody. So I would like to see Kenneth Murray have put together back-to-back games on a short week, headed into a little mini bye situation where we've now seen Kenneth Murray go in there and make big plays and be, it's like, oh, he's somehow squirmed his way out of the pocket. And there goes, what did they call him, Kermit earlier? There goes Kermit straight up the sidelines. And then he just gets Cookie Monster. Just blah, 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 blah. There it is. Knocked out Kenneth Murray. That's what I think is having him as like a spy type. Just make big plays. Sideline to sideline. Let's go, K9.
Yeah, I think that both K9 and Drew Tranquil put up career highlight plays in the game against the Raiders. That one that we saw, Tony, you probably watched it 10 times. You guys haven't seen it. It's in the middle of the game. And they just do a little handoff. I think it was Brendan Bolden. I don't think it was Josh Jacobs. They do a little handoff at the middle. And Kenneth Murray from off the screen just comes through, smacks the guard onto his ass, throws him on the ground, and then makes the tackle on the running back. And that was the most aggressive I've ever seen Kenneth Murray play. And that's what we've been demanding forever.
That play was insane.
Real quick, I'm in the stadium and I start going, Drew, like when he gets the interception, and Chargers fans are looking at me like, what are you doing? What are you booing? I go, no. I'm yelling Drew. And they're like, oh, okay. The plays are, it's over. You guys didn't help me get the Drew chant in. Somebody's like realized what I was doing. They're yelling at me. They thought I was booing. I'm in here in a Chargers jersey. Why would I be booing an interception?
Drew.
Well, obviously you're a paid actor and the Chargers have no fans.
That's true, actually. Sorry, Tony. Hope they paid you enough to boo the Chargers.
I would. Chargers, I am a former actor for hire, ready to go. I'll even get my agent back involved.
But speaking of Drew, he showed off some range on that interception. That was beautiful.
That was a beautiful interception.
It really was. All right, let's go to offense. I think the key for me on offense is just Herbert being Herbert. As long as he's himself out there, he balls out on prime time. Every time we've seen him since his rookie year, the lights come on, and so does Justin Herbert. It's like a special extra power of primetime Herbert out there. As Herbert is Herbert, then we're going to be completely fine. If we avoid the turnovers, we're going to score 35 points. We're going to score 38 points. You're not going to see 24 points this week as long as Herbert is focused, lasered in, and he seems like it, as he always is. Why wouldn't he be?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then my offensive key, I actually have one more defensive key, but we'll get to that in a second, I guess. My offensive key is just pedal to the metal. You cannot let off the gas. You need to no lead is too big for this team to come back from. So you just need to expand that lead as much as possible. your defense needs to play as good as they can to keep the score down, which won't happen that much, I don't think, because Mahomes is going to score points. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
But you're just going to have to outscore them. It's going to be every game with the Chiefs. It's not going to be a defensive battle unless you get Super Bowl 55 when they have no O-line. It's going to be a shootout, and you just need to put up more points. We cannot get conservative midway through the third quarter and go to run, pass. We need to pass the ball on first down, keep up with the first downs, and just as many points as possible.
And if we're up, I'd like to see a better usage of screens. Every time we run a screen, every time we run a screen with Josh Palmer, every time we run a screen to Austin Eckler, we get 5, 10, 15, even 20 yards sometimes.
I'm okay with running back screens, but I hate wide receiver screens.
Well, wide receiver screens are good to run against secondaries who are probably backing off of you.
Well, yeah, if they're backing off, but like, I don't know. I just feel like
they're going to be backing off.
I feel like they've never worked well for us.
Mike Williams is going to make them back off.
Palmer scored on a wide receiver screen in the preseason. I actually really like that play design.
Okay, I wasn't watching all the preseason games.
Busted.
I watched the first one, and I'm like, okay. And then I watched like half the Cowboys one. Then I watched like a quarter of the Saints one.
Yeah, he scored in the Cowboys game on a wide receiver screen somewhere in the second quarter, and then ended up in concussion protocol.
We were getting torched by Kavant or whatever his name is, Turpin, and I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah, that's Mike's guy from his USFL TikTok fame over there. My key for the offense would be like, again, I'm going to go to another player who didn't get enough recognition, but Trey Pipkins had a very solid game. Mike and I sat down the next day and rewatched the condensed film and really focused in, and I thought Pipkins played really well. And he's got another big opportunity because when I'm watching the Chiefs, I forget, and I think a lot of people forget, they added Carlos Dunlap. So you got Chris Jones, who can flip to the outside once in a while. They'll put him out there at edge rusher. Frank Clark. Like, they have good pass rushers. I don't think they're as good as the ones the Raiders have, but it's another test of people who have had a lot of success in this league, who still have juice and can make plays. And I want to see Pipkins have another successful week again, where it's like, oh, we really got some. Like, you did it. You had a good game, and you had good games against the Chiefs last year. Can we put together, consecutive days of really impressive play by Trey Pipkins?
If Pipkins does what he did this last week, we got a top 5 line, boys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that one.
The run game wasn't there, but then again, keep in mind that the run game didn't need to be there.
The Raiders' D-line is not bad. I will give them that.
Yeah, and Crosby's good off the edge as a run stuffer, but
yeah, Crosby is really
if we get Zion and Trey on that side of the ball playing like they did in that game, it's going to be scary.
Zion looked good.
Chandler Jones wasn't even playing in that game.
Oh yeah, I
on the other
don't know
side.
where he was. I couldn't find him.
I
couldn't really find Max Crosby either, but he was there a little more than Chandler Jones.
He's probably pissed that he drew Slater week 1 because he didn't get to show nothing.
I'm surprised they never tried like a little like mismatch with Chandler Jones and Zion Johnson. I'm kind of surprised they never even like attempted it. All right, y'all ready to get into these bold predictions?
I would say Colton Miller had more sacks in that game than he had a couple QB hits.
Yeah, a couple of their offensive linemen were hitting.
Ran him into him. Then I just want to say this one's really quick. Take away Kelsey. Kelsey needs to be minimized as much as possible if we want to win this game.
Yeah, you can't stop him, but you can slow him. And
Derwin could get about as close as anyone is ever going to get to stopping him. So
exactly. And I think that if he does get the ball, like smack his ass, like go after him, attack him, make him pay every time he touches it, so that way they go other directions throughout the game. But anyways, guys, leave your bold predictions for a player's stat line or something that you think is going to happen in this game in the chat, like Athir here, who already has put his bold prediction. Bosa and Matt combining for 5 sacks. Josh Palmer's going for 12, 186, and 3 touchdowns in a 34-24 win. I will say this, Athir. If Bosa and Matt combine for 5 sacks and Palmer has 12 catches, 186 yards, and 3 touchdowns, we're scoring 50 points in this game. I'm just saying that right now.
Probably.
Because a couple of sacks are going to be strip
Mike's probably going to have a couple touchdowns in this game, too. He always balls out in Arrowhead. So you got 4 or 5 touchdowns? Whew.
So yeah, that's the bold prediction we're talking about. Tony, you got yours ready to fire?
Athir knows the keys to my heart. He did one of those things where it would be like, honey, look, I bought you this this nice ring. And she'd be like, I already bought a diamond ring. And I've been like, oh shit. So Palmer was my breakout prediction. I joined Will here on Twitter, and at some point throw that out there because I know a lot of these people are on Twitter too. But I said 8 catches, plus 100 yards and 2 TDs for Palmer in this game. I think that this is really going to be an opportunity for him to get out there and stand out. He's going to win all of his matchups. We've already seen what he's doing. Like, so many people were just saying how quickly he started to mimic Keenan's route running and ability. I think that is going to be on full display on prime time. They clearly have a connection there. So I think if he gets 10 targets in this game, filling in at that Z role, and he's winning, it is going to be a big night. I put my money where my mouth is too, people. I benched DJ Moore in a fantasy league, and I put Josh Palmer in. That's how confident I am that Palmer's
I'm probably going to have to play Josh Palmer this week again in my fantasy league because Chris Godwin is probably not going to play again.
It's a good sub to have.
Your bold prediction.
All right, my bold prediction. Mahomes is going to throw 3 or more interceptions.
What?
I think JC plays, and I think that this secondary just gets even more lethal.
Ooh, Will, I love this prediction.
I like that. And keep in mind that not just the secondary, our D-line did swat a pass down, and they almost, like, Sebastian had like 3 balls go right past his fingertips. That can lead to interception too. If that ball goes straight in the air, Drew Tranquil, Kenneth Murray, they're pretty fast linebackers. They can get underneath that thing and intercept it.
I just think, especially if J.C. Jackson plays. Now, if he doesn't play, that I would say maybe around last year's total he had an Arrowhead, throw 2 interceptions against us. But I just think we have a really good game plan going into this game, and I think that we can definitely get 3 or more interceptions. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple fumbles go our way too, with Mack and Bosa being the strip sack machines that they are.
Yeah, and Mahomes, when he starts to get chased around, he does a lot of those off the back foot throws, and he's phenomenal at it. If there's someone wide open down the field, he's going to hit them. But they aren't good when you're thrown into coverage if our secondary is locking everyone up.
The Cardinals dropped 2 interceptions on those like little acrobatic ESPN highlight. Oh, I was pissed.
Here we go. Bold prediction. J.K. Scott, 0 punts. And it's not because Staley's going for it up, fourth down.
We're pulling a Bills at the Patriots kind of game right here.
And here's the Kelsey under 50 yards predictions from Athir. Tony, I'm going to have to conflict with you here, but not really too much. I think Josh Palmer still has a great game. But my bold prediction is that Mike Williams does it again. Well, we had Phillip Rivers, I think his last game against the Chiefs. Mike Williams had a huge game when Keenan Allen went down.
2019.
Converted a 2-point conversion to walk off and win it. And then a couple years later, last year, Mike Williams, huge 2-touchdown game to beat the Chiefs early on in the season in Arrowhead again. All these games going down in Arrowhead. Every time Mike Williams goes to Arrowhead, he absolutely cooks. He had a quiet week last week on top of it all, so he's fresh, ready to go, and he's probably been thinking about the game all week, even though it's a short week. I think Mike Williams either has a career day or just puts up that 2-touchdown, 125-yard performance that it seems like he's averaging against the Chiefs in his career so far, even all the way back to rookie Mike Williams, to young Mike Williams, to long hair Mike Williams. And now Mike Williams is more experienced, a lot richer, and going to do it again. So that's what I'm going with, Mike Williams. So we got Palmer and Williams going for 100 yards, Tony.
I think that is definitely doable. I don't think those two conflict each other at all. Like, let's sprinkle in a little bit of Gerald Everett right there, Austin Eckler. Like, everybody's eating this week. It's a buffet in Kansas
here's my
City.
Other hot take. Michael Bandy, does he see the field?
Did he fly with the team? I looked for it. I couldn't find it.
He got on the practice squad. I don't know if we're going to elevate him, but I have no idea. I'd like to see if he actually is out there. If he does get elevated, he is out there. I would love to see him get the field, but if he doesn't, he doesn't.
I'm in for that. I will be ready for some Michael Bandy snaps. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I think that slot position is going to be a by committee thing with DC, Josh Palmer, and if Bandy is activated, and people forget that we could throw Everett in the slot receiver if we want to.
Everett is so good. Some people were saying Everett wasn't going to be good for us, and I was like, well, he played that game.
Yeah, and how beautiful would it be if we're leaving this thing and it's like Herbert undoubtedly beat Mahomes, like undoubtedly outdueled him.
Ooh, I'd be very happy with that.
I
I do
mean,
think it's going to be a close game though.
me and Tony got 2 100-yard receivers. You got 3 interceptions for Patty, so it would look ugly on that stat line for Patrick
Ugh.
Mahomes. Let's do it. Score predictions. Everyone, leave your score predictions in the chat. Make sure you guys like the video. It helps out a ton of the algorithm, getting it out to more Chargers fans. We only got a day.
That's a bold take actually in the chat. DeAndre Carter kick return touchdown.
I was going
like
to bring
that,
that up in a
Carlos.
second here. Big likes will help us out, and also make sure you guys are subscribed with notifications on. The reason all these guys are here in the chat is because they have notifications on. If you don't have notifications on, put those notifications on. Yeah, but DeAndre Carter kick return for a TD. I say it's interesting. Remember last year in the second KC game, Andre Roberts opened it up with a huge return and tripped.
Oh, he tripped. Yeah, that was a gimme kick return.
So maybe we get DeAndre Carter to finish the job on that return there in a return this week.
He made up for himself in the Broncos game, though.
We did see a lot of drop passes last season. We saw Trey McKitty drop a pass, so I like this too. No drop passes.
Mike dropped a big one in that in the last game too.
Oh, that was an ugly one.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I think he was like surprised he was getting thrown the ball. He's like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, but for $20 million, I would like you to be less surprised. That's all.
Yeah, probably.
Instant replay is thinking the way I was thinking last week. It was going that direction, by the way. I had a 38, I think, to 19 prediction or something. It's 17.
We should have dropped 40 on the
going that way. I was mathing out too. I was like, okay, we get one more touchdown here, and then a field goal, then another touchdown. It's gonna land exactly, but it didn't happen. And then
the fact that Herbert only had 9 passing yards in the second half of that Raiders game was like egregious.
Top boy Mike here, 31-17, similar score prediction. And look he's got a bold prediction of 15 sacks.
Okay, I don't know about that one. This isn't the Super Bowl. Come on.
Tony, what's your score prediction? 42.
Okay. I got one of these weird score games. Hopkins driving us nuts at the end of a big game. I'm going 32-26. Some missed kicks in this game. They already have the kicker problem over there. We saw Hopkins he booted that ball into my lap in the field goal attempts in the third quarter or fourth quarter of the last game. We go 32-26. It's a win. I think that it feels more like a blowout. And then maybe this week we see conservative defensive play calling that allows the Chiefs to get back into the football game. But again, the door is closed by great defensive line play. Those big guys up front are absolutely spectacular.
What's your call, Will? Score prediction.
All right, I got the score prediction and I got how the score gets there. So I got 35-32 Chargers on a missed field goal attempt to end the game by Kansas City.
I love it. I also have 35-32 Chargers. That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's a similar score, too, because it's the same as the Raiders game in Week 18.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to get there, but I think that it's going to be a field goal game. They're going to either miss a kick or just not trust the kicker, and that's going to lead to the Chargers catching the W. 450 yards for Herbert. I mean, the way that Joe Lombardi
He's never thrown for over 400, though. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, I think he had a game where he had like 450 all-purpose, but he's never thrown for.
That was probably the Steelers game last year.
Yeah. So maybe Herbert has an all-time yardage day if Joe Lombardi is serious about being aggressive. Herbert went into the locker room against the Raiders with 200 yards and only 3 incompletions. So anything could happen. Will cry for his mommy. I mean, he does start to complain when he starts to get to him.
I mean, do you see that interview about he's like, I'm like, damn, I can't believe Khalil Mack is back in the AFC West.
You know what, Athir? You're right. They ain't gonna score 30. I'm changing my score prediction. 35-28 Chargers. There you go.
28. I think the kicker is gonna be their ultimate doom.
35-28. Oh, he's talking about all purpose. Yeah, that's definitely doable because Herbert can run for 50 on any given night. Also, people forget about that. I think we got it. Great show. Tony, any last remarks?
No, thanks to a lot of new people in here being active. Comments were tons of fun. Marker D's Nuts. Great name. I hope I'm saying it right. Come back. Comments are welcome. Top Boy Mike looked new. I saw Ethan was in here. I haven't seen him in a while. And then all of the regular guys that we love so much that come in and comment with Carlos and Athir and Instant Replay and Exercise the Demon, filling up the chat. Bolt up. Let's go get this dub 2-0 headed into week 2 games.
Will, closing remarks. Thanks for coming on, by the way.
No problem. I only got 3 words: family, trust, and respect.
I love it. FTR. Appreciate you guys for tuning in this week. We will see you guys next week when the Chargers are 2-0. I'm not sure if we're going to get on the air from now until then, but just in case, we will see you next Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But you can solve all the problems with scheduling by just subscribing, turning on notifications, liking the video to help us out a ton. Just one last reminder. Also, if you guys came into the live stream halfway through, rewind. Watch the whole thing from the beginning. We reviewed the Raiders game. We went over a bunch of stuff for this Chiefs game. Went over the injury report, all kinds of stuff. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. We'll catch you guys on the other side of Chiefs versus Chargers.